Hello guys, Balubish here. So this is basically 2.0 on the rant on CPU bottlenecking, and I'm gonna show you guys the reason why some games are not bottlenecked. It's another reason. So right now we are at 4K. And ultra settings, and yeah, it's a single player game, and I will do a multiplayer game as well. I was thinking of Battlefield, but yeah, we have a steady frame count of around 115 frames per second. And let's go to the task manager, and now we see all the cores is running normally. This one is CPU 10 for some reason is a bit higher. So what happens if we lower things and get higher frames? Oh, not the resolution yet. So let's choose ultra low. We instantly got 100 more. Still 4K. Man, that's a lot of frames in 4K, holy shit. And the graphics card is basically... Wow, that's a lot. So if we get into Windows now, you see CPU 10 core is using almost 100%. That means the graphics card is almost bottlenecked by this core. So right now the core, or the game is still making the graphics card run at 100% still. But if we go down more in the settings to 1080p, now we have an insane frame rate of 500 frames per second, which is 600, 700 frames, 800 fucking frames. That's that's fucking crazy. What? Is that possible? I want that monitor to handle that. It's weird though. I did the test yesterday and didn't behave like this. But if we look now, CPU 10 should be 100%. And that means also you can see that the graphics card is getting colder. And the reason for that is GPU usage is going down. So you go back to also GPU power is lower. Or is it this one? I'm not sure. Go back and bump it up to 4K again and ultra settings. There we go. Run around for a bit. So let's go back to Windows. Now see the GPU is running at 100%. And that is thanks to one core. And games usually that people mistakes for a CPU bottleneck is the game is coded for one core only. And for my PC, this is the core it uses for the game, basically. That's talked to the GPU. And this becomes a problem for a lot of people. And the only way I see it go around this problem is raise the settings, basically. You can overclock your CPU. Mine is running at 4.1 GHz and it's 6 core. So, for example, 70K, 7700K, or even older, 3770K, or similar CPUs, if you overclock them to 4.5, most people that have a adequate cooling run around 4.7 to 5 gigahertz, basically. And that compensates a bit, but it doesn't compensate completely. So if you still have stutter and getting frame drops, that's the reason why. So yeah, we still have 100% GPU utilization. So just going down in the settings to let's say 2560 and still have ultra for my system. And frames is not that much more, thanks to the graphics. We should see now up in the GPU utilization. Or not. Oh, okay. So how far do we need to up? If I put low settings on. Now that is just freaking out, basically.
As of this hour,
and the bird doesn't die.
To meet their maker.
There we go. He's starting to dip more now. 90% instead. And as you can see here, the core is running at 100% basically. And that's how you see if you have a problem with an old game. The reason I'm making this video is because from my last video, a guy that played a lot of Rainbow Six said he had problems with his CPU, or I'm not sure if he said the CPU or GPU, or something was bottlenecked. Oh yeah, show me the video. The graphics card wasn't running at 100%, and here's the same reason. It's to dip already because of this one core being the hard-coded core into the game. And to make it worse, let's see how far we can drop the GPU. And it's getting colder too, that's the interesting part.
Brimming with danger and evil intent, and
so we're getting ridiculous right now.
Now, back to the music.
GPU basically doesn't have to work. So if we go back out now, it dropped to 75%. Even it dropped a bit. Also, the power completely dropped to around 60%. So yeah, and you see the CPU core is running at max. So this is still when you have older games, not using, for example, OpenGL, Vulkan. DX12 is probably better now, because they are more or better coding for the CPU. So this doesn't happen as much as older games. But yeah, games like this and old games in general are hard-coded with one core behind. So get this problem thanks to that, and not because of your hardware. You actually have to raise the settings to get a more stable frame rate and remove stutter and stuff. And sure, I can understand this can be a problem for people having 144 hertz monitor, and probably even worse if you have 240 hertz monitor, which for me I think it's stupid. I don't see the point in having fast refresh rate. If you're a bad gamer, it doesn't help if you're bad at 60 frames per second or at 240 hertz. You're still a bad gamer, and vice versa. So the rule goes ways. If you suck in general, you always suck. Doesn't matter if you buy a better monitor, their hardware. So I'm fine with 60 frames per second at VSync. I'm pretty good at it at that level anyway, and more for eye candy. So I hope this video explained how things works when it comes to this issue. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys next time.